Welcome to The Infidel, the news for those of us who have supposedly chosen hell over heaven, the news for the damned. Being debaptized, the newest trend in France and Belgium. In France, 71-year-old René Lebouvier is fighting to have his debaptism formally recognised by the Catholic Church. The man was introduced to the Freethinkers back in the 1970s when he first experienced problems with his faith. In 2000, he wrote to his hometown diocese to request to be debaptized. A decade later, unhappy with the continuing paedophile scandals and the Pope's position regarding the use of condoms in Africa, he asked the Church to strike him from the baptismal records, but was told it wasn't possible. Frustrated, he went to court seeking satisfaction. Finally, last October, a judge in Normandy ruled in his favour, but the diocese has appealed. Although observers say debaptism trend has been marginal, the fact remains that it is a growing trend. In neighbouring Belgium, reports show that 2,000 people asked to be debaptized in 2010. The newspaper Le Monde estimated that about 1,000 French people asked to have their baptisms annulled every year. Asked if the lawsuit has ruined his chances of being buried in the family plot, Lebouvier answered that he doesn't have to worry about that because he is donating his body to science. A 16-year-old teenager is punished for refusing to cheer for her rapist. In 2008, a teenage girl claimed she was raped at a house party for the Silsbee High School students in Texas. One of her alleged assailants, Rakeem Bolton, was arrested and he subsequently pleaded guilty to misdemeanor assault. The following year, the young woman went to a basketball game where she led cheers throughout the match. However, when Bolton took a free throw, she decided to stand silently, arms folded. Richard Bain, the school superintendent, told her she had to cheer for Bolton. When the girl said she was unwilling to endorse a man who had assaulted her, she was expelled from the squad. She later went to court and asked for compensation. However, 2 separate courts ruled against her and further decided she must also reimburse the school district $45,000 for filing a frivolous lawsuit. On the 30th of January this year, the US Supreme Court declined to hear a review of the case, as the lower courts had already ruled that, as a cheerleader, she was speaking for the school rather than for herself. Pressure is mounting to make American churches and religious charities pay taxes. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley noted in a recent report that the Constitution does not require the government to exempt churches from federal income taxation or from filing tax and information returns. However, an estimated 1.8 million religious organizations of various types are exempted. Grassley's report was triggered by tales of televangelists' abuse of this loophole. Billy Graham is a rarity among them, as he is known for his decision not to classify his empire as a church. One of the reasons he did this was because he hoped to encourage other religious institutions to become transparent and accountable. Some of America's biggest charities that provide social services call themselves churches, and all the good work they do could be done just as well by secular organizations. But because of their status, senior staff members get to call themselves ministers and thus benefit from perks such as the parsonage allowance. In other words, they get tax-free money to pay their mortgages. As of now, Mr. Grassley is still awaiting responses to his report. The religious right rallies against abortion. On the 22nd of January, thousands of people demonstrated against abortion and marched to the US Supreme Court. It was their way to mark the 39th anniversary of the Roe v. Wade decision which legalized abortion. This March for Life has occurred every year since this important decision was made back in 1974. Many of the participants carried signs that read, "I vote pro-life first," defund Planned Parenthood, and Face it, abortion kills a person. Meanwhile, dozens of members of Congress wanted to be noticed and took advantage of this occasion to address the crowd. Representative Chris Smith of New Jersey urged all people present to vote Republican in the upcoming presidential election, regardless of who will be the Republican candidate, stating failure to unite is not an option. However, polls have shown that Americans are still strongly divided on the topic of abortion. That's all the news for today. Come back to us on Wednesday for more news for the damned.